Hey guys, it's Ron here at SimOdd Lens. This is my first video that I've ever made for social media, so please excuse me if I sound a bit nervous, because it is something that I'm not used to doing after spending about 20 years behind the camera. I'm actually not in front of the camera, but there's a Contax Zeiss 85 1.4 in front of me right now. And there's been a lot of talk online, especially on the social media forums, about removing strip screws, and more specifically removing screws off the Contax Zeiss lenses. The reason why a lot of people are stripping their screws is because from the factory, 20, 30 years ago, they might have used a lot of thread lock or Loctite is what they have now, to lock the screws into the body of the lens, which prohibits it from coming off if it's not taken apart properly. So that's why a lot of guys are just stripping their screws. So I just wanted to give a quick tutorial on how to remove the screws properly so that you don't strip them before installing the sim mounts. First and foremost, always put your lens to infinity before doing any work, so that if you put any pressure on to the body, it doesn't push the lens forward out of the helicoid. Secondly, make sure you do have the right tools. What I use here at SimOdd is the Moody 2086 3mm JIS screwdriver. I'll have a link on our page to buy this as well. You can buy them on Amazon. I think they're about $11. Another one that I go to is the Wiha 261 X50. So it's got a really nice Phillips head. It's not GIS, it's Phillips, but it does have a good it does make really good contact with the screws on the Contax Zeisses. So there's one thing that I always do. What I use here is not a soldering iron, but I use heat. A soldering iron does take some time to heat up, but hot air heats up very fast. So what I've got here is just a pec pad underneath the tape here that I've used just to protect the lens so that the heat doesn't transfer onto the glass. The tape that I'm using here is Captain tape. It's the same kind of tape that engineers use to protect soldering of circuit boards and things like that. So it doesn't conduct heat, it actually deflects heat. It's a high temperature tape. So I use that just to make sure that we're not conducting any heat towards the glass. The hot air gun that I use, you can buy it on Amazon or any hardware, I guess not any hardware store, but you can buy it on a lot of websites where they sell precision tools. It's a hot air a gun, not a hot air gun. Ours is a hose here, and it connects to a terminal. Just make sure that you have the really narrow nozzle attached to the air gun. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply heat onto this screw so that it will heat up the Loctite that's in there just enough for us to break the Loctite once we use the screwdriver to loosen the screw. So I'm just going to turn it on, and it just requires about 30 seconds worth of hot air for it to heat up the Loctite. So just take about 30 seconds or so. So the gun's heating up now. You can feel the air. And we're just gonna apply heat onto this screw for a good 15 to 20 seconds and see where that goes. Usually about the 30-second mark, it will start to loosen, and you can easily remove the screw from there. Again, you can use a hot soldering iron. It does the same thing. It conducts heat onto the screw, but we use hot air here at SimOdd just because it's faster, and you can do the same as well. I'll post a link on the kind of hot air system that we use. I think it runs about $40. The one we have here is a bit more complex, at about $200 to $300, but it does the same thing. So that's about 30 seconds. Put that aside. I'll use my Moody GIS 2086 I'm just going to break that Loctite. Downward pressure, firm and even, and just turn it. There you go. Thanks, guys.